It seemed simple enough. At first, start writing a journal. She said, organize your thoughts. And sure, it kind of helps. I've been writing in it for a month or so now. It's a chance for me to vent, to get out my frustrations and fears and concerns. It allows me to break up the days. When I look back, they seem like less of a general, blurry mess of hours, and more like clearly defined 24-hour segments, which is good, I guess. It's still depressing, though. Sometimes I make the mistake of reading back through my writing. I don't seem to be making any progress. It's just bile and anxiety and worry. The day I wrote for yesterday, for example, it's an echo of the entry I wrote 4 weeks ago, perhaps a foreshadowing of the entry for tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after. Ugh, but let me tell you, something really rather curious has begun to happen. So I'm sitting there alone in my room, right? Super early this morning, gnawing away at the skin around my fingernails, hair unkempt and in the same pajamas I've been wearing for the last 3 days, etc. When I decide that now is as good a time as any to make my journal entry, 3 a.m. So I won't be going to bed for another few hours. But hey, it's not like anything else is going to happen in that time. So I open the journal up and thumb to the latest page. And what do you know? There's an entry here that I don't remember writing. How exciting. Psychosis is my first casual thought. I check back for blocks or gaps in my memory for the day. I think real hard, but nothing springs to mind. The passage isn't even in my handwriting. It reads, I am sorry to hear about your pain. Share with me. A burden shared is a burden halved. I read it over again. And then again. Did I write this? I start writing my entry for the day below this curious message. But I begin with, thanks journal. It's nice being able to vent. Anyway, here's a list of ways I felt like shit today. And I write my entry. I write about my friend, my last and only friend, how he must be feeling in his grave right now. Once I'm done, I close the journal up and I forget all about the strange passage. And I waste away the next few hours with some Discord nobodies until I cannot keep my eyes open anymore. My dreams are hazy and unmemorable. Then when I awake, I go about my day. I'm not due another appointment with my therapist for 4 more days, so no need to leave the house. My head hurts. I clamber to my feet and look through my apartment for a glass still clean enough to be reused, settling eventually on just drinking straight from the faucet. I wipe my mouth on my sleeve, careful to avoid looking at myself in the mirror, but not quite careful enough to avoid catching a glimpse of my journal down there on the carpet of my living room where I left it. I remember the message, and I decide to open it up, thumbing through the pages. Until, fuck, I mumble out loud, realizing that a new message has been written beneath my latest entry. What the hell kind of Harry Potter bullshit is this? I say to myself as I read it through. I am always here to listen. I'm sorry for the problems you're going through. I'm sure you must miss your friend. Tell me more. I stare at the page. I flick through the journal. But beyond this are only blank pages. I mutter to myself in disbelief. I did not write this. There's no way. This looks like it's written in wet ink, like proper ink. And thinking about it, I'm not sure if I even own any black pens. I write the following, heart beating, but still not quite believing. Has the Chamber of Secrets been opened? Is that you, Tom Riddle? I slam the book tight shut, listening to the sound of the birds beyond the window. Should I open it again? How long does a reply take? I give it about 20 seconds, then open it right back up. My stomach lurches at the sight of another new message. No riddles. I just want to listen. Any secrets you share with me will be kept safe. I let out an awkward laugh. I don't think the journal knows Harry Potter. Fuck. So this is real. This is happening. I push aside some empty bottles on the table to make room for the journal. And I return to the bathroom, quickly splashing my face with some cold water before heading back. I settle down on the couch and grab the notebook, turning it over in my hands. It's just a regular journal. I bought it myself. The corners are a little bent. There's a tea mug ring stain on the cover. I open it up to the latest page, and I write back. Should I be afraid of you? Is there anything you want from me? I hesitate, then close the book. I give it a minute, then reopen it. You do not need to be afraid of me. I just want to listen. Share your pain. I'm a little freaked out. Not going to lie. I gently close the journal and head to my laptop. Pondering, I spend the rest of the day and the early hours of the night researching shit like this. Creepy journals and diaries and stuff. The hours fly right by. But as it's drawing closer to the time that I typically fall asleep, I have discovered frustratingly little, just fanfiction and various lunatic image board forums. I slump back down onto my couch, stretching my arms and back. The journal sits patiently on my table, so I pick it up. And I do as I have done for the past month and a half. I write my entry. This time I begin with, okay, I'm putting some trust in you. Journal, I'm glad I have you to vent to. And I appreciate you listening. I spent a lot of time researching mysterious books today. If I'm being honest, I still feel pretty terrible. But I guess it was nice having something to think about other than Michael. I miss him so much, and every day I just feel more and more guilty for not being there for him. I write a little more. And then with a sigh I carefully close it. The temptation is there to immediately reopen to see if the journal has written a response. But I decide to wait until morning. My REM sleep is broken and disjointed, and my dreams are bleary and unsettling. I do not sleep well, and when I awake in a pile of clothes, my first thought is of the journal. I blink and look over to it. Perched on the edge of the table, I stretch and rise and head to the couch. The journal appears to be slightly stuck to the table surface, and I am reminded again of the squalor in which I live. Grimacing, I peel the book away and wipe it on my pajamas, leafing through the pages to my latest entry, and sure enough, there's a reply. I can tell that your guilt runs deep. It isn't easy when we let people down. I do hope Michael didn't suffer. That's it. I read this message a few times. I read it again. This message does not make me feel good. It does not help me in the slightest. In fact, it serves to drain my energy almost entirely. Despite only waking up a few minutes ago, I curl up into a ball on the couch and play these words over and over again in my head. I can tell that your guilt runs deep. It isn't easy when we let people down. I do hope Michael didn't suffer. It isn't easy when we let people down. It isn't easy when we let people down. It isn't easy when we let people down. A sudden burst of anger provides me just enough energy to sit up straight and reopen the journal. I grab the nearest pen and write a response. Why would you say those things? This isn't helping me at all. Don't you have any advice? Who are you? Should I be concerned where you came from? Tell me the truth. Are you in the journal, or just using the journal to send me messages? Come on. I close it up with a slam. Waiting, counting my breaths. 1.2.3. I open it back up to the same page. The reply reads as follows. I have little advice to offer, only that by sharing your woes with me, I can ease your burden. The process may be painful at first, but you will be fixed with time. Unload your misery between these pages. Let me take it from you. That is who I am. I can do this for you, Caroline. Unload your misery between these pages. I grimace at the imagery. I'm sitting up straight now though, so I propel myself forwards and try to make something to eat. Toast will do. I leave the journal where it is on the table for now. I think about it though. As I potter around my place, it was unusual and interesting. At first, sure, amusing even, but it's quickly becoming rather unsettling. I really didn't like that last message. I didn't like the way it made me feel. But this is something supernatural. Stuff like this can't just be ignored. So, I keep writing in it. It's addicting. I ask it questions, trying to probe who or what it might be, but these are all deflected and ignored. I soon give up. Instead, my entries into the journal become just that. Entries. I start writing in it more and more, pouring my guilt and my misery into the pages as it requested. It listens and gives me responses that sting and ache. You are doing well here. You need time alone to process. It's better not to infect others with your misery. You are alone, and this is what you need. Michael sounds like a good person. It's a shame he didn't have a stronger support network. But as I said, it's addicting. This is a journal that writes back. For fuck's sake, part of me feels like I deserve it, and another part of me wants to believe what it said. I want to believe that the hurt is temporary, that by doing this I will be fixed, that the journal can take my misery from me. I'm desperate here. I'm just so tired of feeling the same every day. At least the journal is different. It's new. I peel the journal from the side of the counter, doing my best to wipe away the sticky strands that connect the surface to the book's binding. Opening it up to the latest page to write some more. I don't wait until the end of the day anymore. I just write whenever I feel like it. The responses get worse. Do you deserve to feel better? Caroline, given all that you have done, suffering is healing. Do you truly believe that you are a good person? Consider this. Would a good person do what you have done? Write to me your initial thoughts. You are holding back. I can sense greater pain within you. Share it with me. I must hear it. I bring the book to my next therapy session. It's grimy and gross. I physically show the pages to my therapist. I point at the messages and go almost as far as to shove the thing in her face. She isn't impressed. Why do you think you've been writing these messages, Caroline? She asks me. I chew my tongue. I told you, I didn't write them. They appear in the journal by themselves. Watch. I write an entry and close the journal up. Though even as I do so, I realize that I am about to look like an idiot. It's basic rule number 1 of supernatural shit. With one eye closed, I tentatively reopen the journal. And of course, the journal has not written anything back. This time, I make eye contact with my therapist and she raises an eye at me. I laugh awkwardly. All right, humor me. Let's say the journal does write back by itself. What should I do? What should I tell it? My therapist pauses for a moment in thought. We heal in different ways. You are allowing the journal to be overly critical. But what if it's right? Do you believe it's right? Well, I don't know. You know yourself better than anyone else. Caroline, do you want the journal to be right? No. She folds her arms across her lap. Well, there you go. I hesitate. There I go. Is that it? She opens her hands. I leave the session feeling frustrated and uncertain. The bus ride back is long and bumpy. There are no seats, so I stand the whole way. Slumping back down onto my bed, I drop the journal on the sheets beside me. What the hell am I going to do with you? I ask it, sighing, then reaching immediately over to pick it back up. And I realize to my disgust that the book has already stuck to the sheets. Why does this keep happening? I pull it from my bed, revealing that in the few seconds that it was there, already it is bound to the sheets with ooze and long, sticky, red-pink strands. I actually inspected properly. For the first time. It's you, I mutter, as the strands snap one by one. All this time I thought it was just how dirty my place was. But this slime, whatever this is, it's coming from you. The substance leaks from the spine of the journal. It looks a little like blood. I open it up. More, Caroline. I need more of your pain. Share it with me. You have a long way to go before you can heal. I need your shame and your guilt and your loneliness. More, Caroline. Well, supernatural or not, I won't be dealing with this shit anymore. Enough is enough. I dump the journal into the trash and screw around on my laptop, doing my best not to think about it. My fingers itch at the end of the day. As my instinct to write my entry for the day kicks in, I glance over to the bin, but I let the urge pass through me, and instead just curl up in bed to sleep. When I awake the next day, the journal is back on my living room table. I say living room, the section of my tiny apartment that has a couch, a TV, and a bottle and covered table in it. The journal appears larger than it did last night. Bloated, almost. A reddish-black ooze has seeped out from the binding and across the little table. And with a grimace I peel it away with a series of squelches and tears. Some of the red-pink strands hang down from the cover as I open it up. Our time is not through just yet. Caroline, your misery is still burgeoning. Share it with me. I write a response. No. And with the book in hand, I unlock my front door and head down the building stairs. I dump the journal right into the large trash receptacle outside and return to my room, breathing a deep sigh and trying to do something, anything to keep my mind from the journal's allure. I even clean my place up a little, or at least, I throw the cans and bottles into a bag, then stop because I'm feeling guilty that I'm not separating the materials and recycling. The bag sits slumped half full in the corner of my kitchen. I tap away at the keys on my laptop. Tap, tap, tap. My fingers itch. I shoot a look over my shoulder, and there it is, on the arm of the couch. The journal, already leaking its goo across the fibers. For fuck's sake, I tear off my headphones and stride the length of the room, grabbing up the journal. It feels warm. I start tearing out pages indiscriminately. Get out of my head. You're not helping me at all. You're just feeding off all my hatred and my sadness. A torn page drifts to the floor by my feet. You don't deserve happiness. Ever. I know you. You have shared everything with me. And I know you deserve to be like this forever. So share with me. Share with me. And then at least you won't be entirely alone as your days and nights flitter away. I grab the page up and scrunch it into a ball and throw it into the trash. I grab from a nearby drawer a bottle of lighter fluid and I pour it into the trash can. I flick back the little metal wheel of my lighter and set the edge of the journal on fire. Then I dump it into the can. After a moment it takes light and starts to burn and blacken. I open up my window and hold the bin half out, careful not to breathe in the fumes as it melts and sizzles. Once it's little more than a pile of wet and sticky ash, I allow the bin back inside, dumping the waste into a larger trash bag and hauling that downstairs too, throwing it over my shoulder and into the dumpster. By the next morning, the journal has returned to my desk. It sits right there by my laptop, patiently awaiting my attention. The desk beneath and around the journal is stained. The book's cover has begun to crack and split. Thick, sticky fluid leaks from these creases in the skin. With a slow sigh, I open it up. You cannot throw me away. Give me your pain and your hurt. I write back. I don't want to. It will make you feel better. With time, the pain is your wounds healing. When you are healed, you will see. You belong here, alone, with me. I want to feel better. Share your pain. I am always here for you. I close the journal. It almost seems like it might be on the verge of twitching, of convulsing in my hands. Ooze leaks from its sides and drips heavily down onto the desk and the floor below. I ignore the terrible little book. I stop writing in it. I stop engaging with it. The days pass, but it's always there, bulging, hungrily. One morning I find it open, pointed right at me. It's the first thing I see when I wake up. Your pain grows. Your pain deserves to grow. It's all your fault. The only way to heal is to share it with me. Give me your hurt and your sins. I stuff the book into a bag and bring it along with me to my next therapist appointment. I hold the disgusting book out in my hands and my therapist recoils. She looks at me with concern. Caroline, what have you done to this book? I haven't done a damn thing. It's disgusting, right? It's certainly interesting looking. Are you trying to express yourself with its design? I release some air through my nose in frustration and rub my eyes. I haven't been sleeping well. I haven't been sleeping much at all. Recently, it's worse than before. I'm getting worse, and so the days go on like this. Long, torturous days. My sleep schedule gets almost entirely reversed and I scarcely see any daylight. The journal taunts me. It seems to change locations every time I turn away. Now, sometimes the pages are open, and then, one terrible day, the journal shows me something new. Its pages by this point are perpetually curled at the edges, stained with splotches of red and black. It hums and vibrates and leaks wherever it lays. It's always warm. Turning the pages reveals pink, red, and fleshy strands that connect them all together. Bulbous masses bulge from the cover and the spine. And today, on its open page, it shows me a drawing. Never has it done that before. Ever. The drawing is crude. To be honest, it's of a low quality, like something a 4-year-old would produce. It looks kind of like a girl, but the accompanying label is clear, very clear indeed, in that dark, wet, intricate ink. It reads, My Caroline. The fear and revulsion I feel at the sight of this drawing is difficult to put into words, but it's a critical moment. It's a critical moment because it's when I vow that things are about to change. The process is not instant. It's slow and gradual, but I decide I'm going to defeat the journal at its own game. I'm going to trick it. So, I hatch a plan, and I return to writing my daily entries. Every day I write a new entry. But this time, I lie. I don't share my guilt about Michael's death, about what must have been his final moments. I don't write about my shame and my general issues and my self-hatred. I try to make it as light and as sickly sweet as possible. I write about how great I feel. The journal is pleased that I have returned to my entries. At first, though, this pleasure quickly turns to dismay. It doesn't seem to like the new entries. I start receiving the same stock response over and over. You are holding back. Share with me your pain. Concerned that the journal might be able to sense outright lies. I start focusing on half-truths and small victories. I write about nice things I saw through the window. When I run out of things, I step outside the apartment for a while to find some new ones. I write about the good memories I had with Michael, about fun things I saw online. I start actively looking for new things to write about so that I can continue filling the pages, so that I can continue battling the journal's bile. The journal dislikes this. You are distracting yourself from your pain. You must share your pain with me. Caroline, stop running. These entries will not help you. You are rotten to the core. These frivolities are a disgrace to Michael's memory. That last one actually makes me laugh out loud. I am getting to it. I can tell. So I keep on writing. Every day. Sometimes twice a day. Just to spite the damned book, I actually do clean my place. I even separate the recycling. Turns out it wasn't so difficult after all. I open the window to let some fresh air in. I even fling the journal right out of it, just for fun. It returns to my room within the hour. Of course, but still, a good laugh. I change my clothes. I brush my teeth. All that good, boring shit. And what do you know? The journal starts leaking less. It was well fed, sure. But now its great bulbous masses, the ones across the covers, have burst, and the dead, flaky, sticky skin that's left behind is gradually wearing away. The journal struggles to follow me around. I dump it into a trash can at the local park and it takes a whole day to get back to me. I think about taunting it. About writing "You're getting sloppy" in my latest entry. But I do not. I daren't change my strategy. It's working. It is working. And as a really rather pleasant byproduct of this strategy, I actually start feeling a little better too. I address some of my entries to Michael himself, sharing with him how much better I'm doing. And the journal really hates this. I can almost feel it seething in its bitter replies. Michael is dead. It's your fault. He wouldn't help you even if he could. Only I can help you. And you know, it's funny. I've been blaming myself for Michael's death for a long, long time. But when something as bizarre as this journal actually blames me for it, when this thing is actually genuinely trying to convince me that I am responsible for Michael's death, it puts it into a new perspective. I realize how ridiculous the notion is. I was always there for Michael. He knew this. He could have reached out, but he didn't. Am I blameless? No, I'm not. But it's far from my fault. I share this all with my therapist. She seems pleased. I'm so glad that you've been improving, Caroline. You've worked so hard, and it's nice to see that it's beginning to pay off. I hesitate. Yeah, I reply. Yeah, I guess it is. Are you going to keep on writing in your journal? I consider. No, I don't think so. It was good, for a while. It helped being able to express myself, to talk to Michael. But I think it's done all it can now. Some people like to write. And they like to write every day, and that's fine. I'm just not one of them. She nods and leans back in her chair. Well, then that's okay, Caroline, if you feel that that is best. Then that's okay, and I do feel that's best. I haven't been able to get rid of the journal entirely. By the way, if I try to throw it out, it still finds its way back into my apartment after a few days. Or a week, sometimes a bit longer, but that's all right. I don't write in it anymore. It's unable to taunt me. It's nothing special, just a battered old, flimsy notebook. So I stuffed it away at the back of my bookshelf, and that's just where it will stay. It's a nice day today. I think I'll go outside.